Austin's #1 talk show. Keep it locked Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. If you missed today or any other show, we are on iTunes, baby. You can find us on iTunes, TaylaAndre. Instead of going and searching for Taylor Andre, just go to TaylaAndre.com, TaylaAndre.com, and you will find everything Taylor Andre, from the YouTube videos to the Mixcloud, SoundCloud audios to the iTunes audios, from real estate to companies that I promote and support. Everything is on the website. I thank you in advance for visiting. And if there's anything, again, that you want to talk about, you want to discuss, you think is important to our community that, Taylor, you haven't talked about, feel free to contact me. You can contact me on all forms of social media, or you can contact me directly from the website, which will connect you to my email. Again, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you in advance. It is Power Hour Freaky Friday. We have Debra Mitchell. She's passionate about helping women with relationships and marriage. Far too often, we are released into the world ill-equipped to handle relationships. Her first book, Center of Attention, is a dating handbook aimed at helping women identify healthy relationships. Baby, don't know nan one of us know what a healthy relationship look like, especially when we've been in abusive relationships, mentally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive. We don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. We think it's all about sex. We don't understand what a healthy relationship looks like. So we're going to talk about healthy relationships, what a situationship is versus a relationship. Shout out to Miss Debra Mitchell, Black Girl Magic. Good rising, my queen. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? And thank you for having me.
Thank you. I just am excited to have you on air to talk about healthy relationships. This is a topic that we have yet to discuss, but we've danced around it. But the truth of the matter is, we don't know what a healthy relationship looks like, period. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm glad we are talking to our Black Girl Magic, and we can sprinkle some dust on this and go down the right path and hopefully correct some women, grown women that have made grave mistakes in their life. And maybe if, they can't clean up their act, we can go ahead and set our daughters on the right path.
Yes, that sounds great.
So for those who don't know, can you just tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, yes, thank you. Again, my name is Debra Mitchell, and I'm just very excited and passionate about helping women with healthy relationships. As you mentioned, some people don't even know what that looks like, and they've accepted abuse as the norm. So it could be physical abuse or verbal abuse, and they think that's normal. And my passion is to turn that around and show them that they are the queens and they deserve respect, and they deserve to be in long-lasting relationships and healthy marriages, which would produce healthy children and would help our community in a whole. So that's really what I'm looking for, is to show you that you really have the power to make good choices and to show that to your daughters as well.
All right, first question. What is a healthy relationship?
A healthy relationship is when a husband and wife are really loving and supporting each other. It's not one where there's competition and demise of the family. It's where we're working together in unity. And I don't think you see a lot of that. There's a lot of single moms and divorced moms. So children don't even see a husband or a father in the household and know how important he is, and he should be supporting his family in that fashion. So that's what a healthy relationship looks like, a mother and a father supporting and loving each other.
A mother and a father loving and supporting one another. Let's say, for instance, I was in an unhealthy relationship. The kid's dad and I used to beat on each other. So this is hypothetical for those who are wondering, damn, Taylor, this is hypothetical. But the kid's father and I used to beat on each other, and now, we don't talk at all. We can't talk. There's no such thing as communication between us. But he's in another relationship and I'm in another relationship and I'm out of that unhealthy relationship and I don't think I brought any baggage into this new one. How would I be able to decipher whether or not I have those lingering side effects of a dysfunctional relationship in my new relationship?
Well, unfortunately, you probably did bring some of that that with you because children see things, and I know we want them to just only see the good things, but they really see everything that's going on. We really are their first and best teacher. So the time that you were in that hypothetical bad relationship, you were teaching the children it was okay to be treated that way. So that's another thing that we need to do as moms and role models and show our daughters the proper way to be treated. The good thing that you did is you left that relationship. So you taught them that, yes, maybe I made a mistake, but I did correct it by getting out of it. And I don't want you to go into a bad relationship that when you're getting beat on and mistreated because you followed what I did. You saw I made a change. But unfortunately, a lot of women will stay. They don't have the strength or the confidence to get out of those relationships. So then we've taught our daughters, this is how you're supposed to be treated.
Well, so I have daddies, and I say daddies plural because I have my father, I have my stepfather, I have my uncles, I have my male cousins. I feel as if I have that. I know what a man looks like. I know what a strong, educated, put down in the kitchen, clean up when need to, take care of kids, don't need a woman. I know what a man looks like. For women who have never had a man in their life, how does one enter or know what a healthy relationship looks like when you've come from generations of grandma, mama, self being single, and you've never had that strong male presence in your life?
Yes. That's such a real scenario. And unfortunately, women would grow up thinking, well, I don't need a man. There was no man in my household, and I turned out just fine. But that's really not accurate. We all need a companion. None of us are on this earth to just live alone, like in a hermit condition. So we need to understand the value of a man. And I think if you don't have that in the household, it's difficult for you to grasp that because it's a foreign concept to you. And that's another thing that I bring up about healthy relationships is a relationship which involves communication, support, and love. So therefore, you have to have that with a male. But some of these men have not even been given an opportunity to show that they can be that strong man that you just described, that, supports the family and cooks the meals and pays all the bills, because they've never seen that. And when they approach some of these women, they're so aggressive and they have such a one-sided view because there was no man growing up. They can scare away a perfectly good man that would love to have a relationship with you, but just have such a rough exterior because of your upbringing. It scares men away. So what we need to do is really teach our women how to be ladies. Let a man approach you, and that's why I'm so against women going after men. If a man is interested in you, let him pursue you. That's the proper way. That's why when a man or woman gets married, she takes his last name because he is now going to be responsible for his family. So it's just really a way to retrain our brain as to how do you date, first of all, and let a man pursue you, and then have a relationship built from there.
So I would like for you to repeat what you discussed about a hard woman, because I heard it, but I was listening, but I didn't hear it, and I can only imagine how many women out there were listening but didn't hear it. As far as being so strong and being in a household, being in a family where generation after generation you were told that you were shown that you didn't need a man, and now we come off into these relationships with men and we're like, Negro, I really don't need you.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that again so I can repeat that. I think some women understand that, and maybe in your profession you have to be aggressive and that kind of thing. But when it comes down to a relationship with a man, with a family, a husband, it's a whole different shift. So what I like women to do is learn how to be ladies. Let the man take the lead. Stop approaching men saying, hey, can I get your number? Let the man approach you. If he's interested in you, he will pursue you. That's where we I think that's where we miss our mark. We just go after any man we think is attractive, and then when he's not interested and we don't take no for an answer, that's how we begin to get used. Because if you're just going to continue to show up and offer all your resources, your body included, most men are not going to turn that down. But if a man comes to you and pursues you, then he's interested in you. So there's no mixed signals because he came to you. So that's what I really want women to do, is stop chasing these men. Stop pursuing men. If he's interested in you, he will come to you. that's what the first mindset would be, is, learn that. And something else that I'm passionate about is I don't think it's a good idea for women or couples to live together without being married. For that reason, because the woman is the one that's giving up the most. He's using up her body, resources, and all that, and she's just a friend. She's not even a friend with benefits, because she gets no benefits. There's no life insurance for her. If she gets sick, she can't go to the hospital. There's no benefits. Because this was probably something she said, well, come on and move in with me. That's fine. Well, what man is going to turn that down? So we need to learn how to let the man pursue you. Stop chasing men. Stop living with men you're not married to, because it's very disrespectful. If he really wanted to be with you, he can ask for your hand in marriage and marry you and have a family, and then that way the children can see a mom and dad that's married to each other, that's loving and supporting each other. That is the basis of a healthy relationship.
But what had happened was we ain't financially ready to get married right now, and it just saves more money for us to live together.
Well, you get you a roommate, and I'll get me a roommate. There's a way to share expenses. If you want me bad enough, we can downsize and get a one-bedroom apartment, because two can live as cheaply as one, if this is what you want. Don't settle for that. Well, it's cheaper, for us. No, it's not cheaper. You can downsize if that's what you want, and then you can pool resources as husband and wife. So don't fall for that. If you really can't, if you live above your means, then you can get yourself a roommate as a share expense, not a man. I'm talking about a same sex, get your girlfriends together, and you all share expenses until each one of you find a husband and move out on your own. So understand your value. You're worth more than that.
And under no circumstances should a man and woman live together if they are not married.
I think that's absolutely correct. There's a 75% divorce rate for those couples that live together before marriage. So now you're just setting yourself up for marriage. And also there's a 75% chance that you guys will break up and go move in with other people, move on with your life. So now I'll give you a good scenario. Suppose you meet the man of your dreams, but now you got to get past his mother, because every man has a mother who wants to protect her son and wants him to bring home a lady and not a tramp. So you start getting interviewed by the mother who wants to get to know you, and she finds out that you've lived with 3 different men before she met her son. She's going to tell her son, that's a tramp. You're not marrying her. She's already lived with 3 men. So now your reputation has preceded you as being a tramp by living with all these men. Now you really found a man you really want to be with, but his mother is going to say, no, you can do better than that. And she's just a tramp living with all these men, as opposed to living on your own until you find the right man, and then he can come and pursue you. So it's really a no-win situation for the woman. That's in my opinion.
What about the men? Let's say, like, this is a real scenario. Women more likely are awarded Section 8 vouchers. They are able, we live in Massachusetts, and right now a one-bedroom is about $10,000. So men are, I'd rather live with my baby mama. I'd rather live with my girlfriend, help pay something on her bills instead of, taking on my own. Like, I really don't know how to frame it, but what about the fact that these men are out here living with different women, to sustain housing because they can't afford housing on their own?
I think there's an economical way to work out your finances, if that's what you really want to do. And if you really love this woman and want to be with her, you would figure out a way to marry her and move on with your life. But as you're saying, you have these men with all these different baby mamas. He can't marry all of them. So he's just out here procreating, and these women would take on a man who know he's got, say, 2 other kids, and then you have a kid with him. So he's not supporting all 3 of them. Now, you got a baby that's not being supported, and the other girls' babies are not being supported. So having children out of wedlock is another bad decision, because that's how you wind up with a whole family of women taking care of the daughters or with no man around, because he can't marry you because he got 3 other baby mamas. So that's another scenario that if this man has all these children before you even marry or get with him, then don't even get with him, because your child's not going to be supported. So these are some signals that women need to look at. He got 2 baby mamas. That's too many.
Did anybody hear what she just said? If a man got 2 baby mamas, that's too many. You need to run. All right,
need to run.
But let's be honest. How many 35-year-old men and women are out here that do not have children. There aren't too many men and women 35 years old. Yesterday was my Earth Strong. I turned 34. I can't tell you how many friends I have that do not have children yet. I can think of one.
And that was just a relationship that she wasn't previously married. She just had a baby with someone. Is that what you're saying?
I only know one of my friends that does not have any children. She has no kids, and she doesn't want kids because my kid says she is a kid herself. But one woman that does not have children, I'm trying to think if I have any male friends that don't have children. Like, everyone has kids.
I understand that. So for the women who are 35 and older and you already have children, it might be an opportunity for you just to raise your children. You might not even be able to be in a relationship with a man, because if you marry this man and the child gets mistreated because that's not his child, that's not in the best interest for your child. So when we become moms, it's no longer about us. It's just what's best for our children. So in those scenarios, if you already have children and you already had a bad breakup and you never married their father, then your focus should be on your children, not bringing another man into their life, because that's not going to be in their best interest. So you may not be able to date it. If maybe you got a 10-year-old, you may not be able to date until the child goes off to college or something, because that child needs all of your attention because they don't already have a father. And bringing a stepfather into the situation is probably not going to work out, because second marriages have a high percentage of divorce too. So this would be the time to focus only on your children and not on a relationship right now, because your child is a priority.
617-282-0062. I want you guys to call in. You don't have to necessarily agree, but I want to know, how do you feel? What is your opinion? We have Debra Clifton Mitchell, or you just want me to call you Dr. Mitchell?
No, just Debra Mitchell would be fine, or just Debra. Most of my ladies, when I do presentations, they just call me Miss Debra, just to keep it simple.
Okay, so we got Miss Debra on the line. Miss Debra is hitting us, ladies. She sound like Nana right now. That's what it sound like. It sound like Nana is in the building talking about some, y'all don't need to cohabitate with these mans, not men, mans. You don't need to cohabitate with these men. You don't need to live with these men. You don't need to, if you have a child, the relationship broke off, your child's 10 years old, you don't even need to think about dating right now. What about people who say, that's not realistic. I don't think I should have to wait. If my child's 8, you want me to wait another 8 years? 9 years, 10 years before I can even consider dating? My child's going to be dating before I can.
Well, I didn't say that you can't date. It's just that you can't bring them home around your children. I'm sure that your kids go around grandma, or maybe they visit their dad or whatever. There's some free time that you have to yourself. You just don't need to bring that man around your children. So there's a lot of single women who date, but their children have no knowledge of it. Your dating life is your private life. Your children shouldn't even be aware that you have a boyfriend. But certainly you can date. You can date whenever your child is, like I said, at grandma's or visiting their dad, and you have some free time. Date all you want. But how do you think the child's going to feel if you bring home different guys every few months? Now you're setting yourself up to look like a tramp, even though you may not be sleeping with all these guys, but your child may think that you are.
So at what age, or at what time, at what point in a relationship is it okay to say, I would like for you to meet my family. I would like for you to meet my children?
That's a great question. And I really think after maybe a couple, I don't want to say a year or something, that you're dating this guy that you think he's going to stick around. Because a lot of relationships, they look good on the surface for the first couple of months, and then you get to know this man, you think, no, he's not the one. But now you can drop him, but now your child has got to know him and say, well, whatever happened to John? And John's gone now, but you don't want to really explain all that, because you really shouldn't have to explain your private life to your children. So in those scenarios, I just think it's best that you have a separate life that has nothing to do with the children, have no knowledge of it. You're dating, so I don't think it's a good idea to introduce children to your men early on in any situation, because it's probably premature.
I want to know how my ladies feel about this conversation, because I know, according to Miss Debra, I done broke a few rules. Miss Debra, as far as bad relationships, healthy relationships, what are signs of being in a bad relationship? How do I know that I'm in a situationship and not in a relationship? Because I feel like the sex is great. We be loving on each other. We call each other. We text each other. Like, I think I'm in a relationship. How do I know if I'm in a situationship?
Okay, well, I have some signs for you and the other listeners, so I hope everybody has a pen to jot some of these down. But the first one is he tries to keep you away from your family and friends. That's the first sign that you're in being controlled, and everybody's an adult, so they should make their own decisions. So the first one is he tries to keep you away from your family and friends. Second one, he acts excessively jealous and possessive. You can't have any friends. You can't go anywhere. He wants to track down your cell phone and you put a GPS on your car, all these things. That's a bad sign.
Hold on, that's not. But he loved me though, cause he just want to know where I'm at sometimes, and he be looking through my phone because Jerome call me sometimes, and Jerome from the past. I can't really get rid of Jerome, and he concerned about Jerome. So, those aren't really not excessively jealous, but he is jealous and just a little possessive, but not that much.
Well, it's sort of like being a little bit pregnant. Either you are or you're not. So either you're jealous or you're not, you're possessive or you're not. So those are bad signs. And I know a lot of women want to make excuses for him. But one thing I want the ladies to hear on today's call session is you can't change him. You can't fix him. You can't cure him. If they could understand that, they would save themselves so much headaches. I'm going to change all that. I'm going to fix all that. You can't do that. A person can only change if they want to change. That's an internal thing. I can't make you change, but I can make myself change. But what I can do is educate you on the different, like you said, the signs of a bad relationship, so you'll know, I need to think about that. So a little bit jealous and a little bit possessive is the same as being a little bit pregnant. I'm pregnant or I'm not. Whether I'm 1 month pregnant or 9 months pregnant.
So really quickly, because you said something that triggered something for me. A woman cannot change a man, and men, this goes for you too, you cannot change a woman. Right. But I want to go back to the fact that a lot of women and a lot of men came from single mother homes. They never really saw what a family unit looks like. They never saw a mother, father lovingly in a relationship, loving each other. So even though I may not be able to change him, I can still educate him. We can educate each other and learn together on how to build a family unit that neither one of us have ever seen. So it sounds like there's a fine line there. I don't want to change him, but I do want to educate him that he can have healthy relationships, that we can build something that we've never experienced ourselves.
And if both of you are willing to do that, if you're willing to educate him and he's willing to take that and say, yes, I want to learn and do better, that's fine. But if a person doesn't want to change, you can't change him. So I'll give you a great example. I've been to weddings over the years of my life, and I've heard brides saying, I'm going to change all this. For example, he's an alcoholic. I'm going to change all this. He's going to quit drinking. No, he's not going to quit drinking. It's just going to be so obvious because now you're under the same roof, and he can't hide it. So now you just married a drunk. That's really all that is. Now, unless he wants to take the steps to go to AA and clean himself up, that's one thing. But you can't make him go to AA. You can't change him. You can't fix him. You can't cure him. So women sign up with these men that got all kind of baggage, and they think they can change all that, and they cannot. And then instead of learning that at 21, now they're 41 with 3 kids. And they're saying, I got to kick this drunk out. So now your kids have seen alcoholism. So they've seen this abusive relationship that you brought into their world because you decided to have children with an alcoholic. So they've probably seen him throwing stuff and cursing you out and whatever he does when he's drunk. This is what your children are seeing, and the chances of them going out and getting drunk has really increased because that's their normal. That's their comfort zone. So if something I really want to drive home, you can't change him, you can't fix him, you can't cure him. If you can understand that now, you would change the way you date me. When you realize they got all these problems, you just say, hey, nice meeting you, and you move on. And I have something that I share with my ladies when I do presentations. I say, ladies, he's not your boo. He's your boo-boo. And that means that's a mistake. So just don't don't beat yourself up over it, but don't marry the mistake and have a baby with the mistake and get a mortgage with the mistake, because it's not going to, you can't change him.
So what about those that have done that? Those that are currently in marriages that are set up like situationships, people that are married that are in an abusive relationship, people that are married that made their boo their boo. Like, what am I supposed to do? I have a mortgage with my boo boo. I have a child with my boo boo. I have a marriage with my boo boo, and maybe he's not a drunk, maybe he's not an alcoholic, maybe he doesn't gamble, but I knew in the beginning that this was not the route that I should take, but financially it made sense. We had a child together. Our families told us it made sense, and now I'm in the biggest mistake of my life.
Right. So now, when you make a mistake, you have to make another choice and correct that. So now it's time to it's time to correct your mistake, and just sit down with your children and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I married this man, your father, but we're not a fit. We're not a match. You're looking for somebody you equally yoked with, somebody you have something in common with. I made a mistake, and now I got to correct it. So he's moving out, and I'm going to get a divorce because I would rather live alone in a healthy, have my children not exposed to that, whatever that is, drunk or just abusive relationship, than continue to live like this. So when you get grown, you think it's okay. Again, since we're the first and best teachers, we have to make a correction. So mothers, we're not perfect. No, we're not. But when we realize we made mistakes, we got to make another choice to correct the mistake, because if we don't, we're sending a signal to our children, well, yeah, you made a bad mistake, and everybody told me to stay in this marriage, and I stayed in it, but I'm miserable. And, I lived my whole life miserable. And life is too short to be unhappy. So if something's making you unhappy, you got to make some changes, and you got to teach your children. You got to think twice before you decide to get married. And just marrying somebody just because you have a baby is not the right reason to get married. That's not the reason. You're looking for your soulmate or a match. You're not looking for somebody, well, I just had unprotected sex with this man, but I can't stand him. He can't stand me. So what kind of household is that child going to grow up in?
Miss Debra, do you only speak to women's? Because I have a message here, like, why I feel like she's bashing men. What about these crazy women out here that don't have it together? These crazy women that are abusive. These crazy women that are drunks. What about them?
Yeah. I do speak to both men and women, because I want men to understand these are the signs you need to look out too. You can't change her either. You can't change her, fix her, or cure her. But yes, she's cute and she's a freak, and you have sex with her all the time. But look how crazy she is. You're not a match. So men need to think about these things too. So I don't male bash, and I tell women, you can't blame him for your bad choices. So if you made some bad choices, it's not male bashing at all. So I do speak to the men, and I want the men, because I have a son and a daughter. So I want my son to not go and get some crazy woman just because she's a freak and bring her to my house, because that's not a match. So I make sure that he understands you need to look at the whole picture and think about if there's somebody you want to be with. So, yes, I have men in my audience, and I tell the men, I know we're emotional, and men are visual. So men, well, it's like a pretty woman, and we love a fraud. We don't really care what it looks like, what he brings to the table, because we're just emotional like that. But yes, I invite men to my sessions, and they have a great interaction with us, and they're looking for healthy relationships too. They want a wife that can love on them, and they can have a family unit with them, and they can grow old together with. I think men and women ultimately want the same thing, which is a companionship and somebody to grow old with.
Well, we got it twisted, because we think we're supposed to get the finest thing on the block, the biggest basketball player, strongest football player. We're not really planning for years to come. So what we didn't do was finish how we know we're in an unhealthy relationship. I believe we're on number 2 or 3 on signs that we're in unhealthy relationships.
Yeah, so number 3 would be he doesn't support his children on a monthly basis. That's
or she don't take care of them babies like she should. So can we make it co-gendered? What is it? Bi-gendered?
Yeah,
can we make this co-ed so that men don't feel bashed out?
Right, because this is definitely not male bashing. And as I said, we can't blame somebody else for our bad choices, whether it's a female or male. You made a bad choice. It's your choice. Nobody forced you to do that. So we're going to make this apply to both genders. So number 4 would be he or she calls you vulgar names and criticize and humiliate you. So women can go off on a man, call him all kind of names, a loser, and you don't support the family and all that. That's a sign you're in a bad relationship. If she just wants to humiliate you and criticize you. The fifth one is he or she has a problem with gambling, alcohol, or drugs. Those things need to be corrected before you sign up to that. And they have to do that and be clean for, a year or so to show that they really have made a change. So somebody say, I can stop when I want to, but next Saturday they're drunk again. That's a bad relationship. The next one, number 6, she or he has no steady income or verifiable source of income. So how are you going to live? Like you just said, in your area, it's $1,000 for a small apartment. I'm in the Chicago area. That's probably accurate here, too. So how are you guys supposed to budget if you have no idea where he works or how much money he makes or she makes, so you can make a monthly budget and live comfortably? Number 7, you feel depressed all the time. Constant fighting, name-calling. It just beats at your self-esteem. And men have self-esteem, too. Men want to feel strong and powerful and loved. They want their woman to support them and say, hey, in my eyes, you're Superman. Every man wants to hear that. So that's another one. You feel depressed all the time. Number 8, you're afraid for your safety, and he or she threatens or intimidates you. Men really don't report when they've been abused, but women have attacked men. They'll go grab a knife or something and come after you, and that's abusive. So that's another sign you're in a bad relationship if you feel unsafe or threatened.
Hold on, because I would like for us to stop there.
Okay.
Shout out to all of the men that have ever been beat by a woman, and you were told, you're a man, just take it. Why would you go to the police? Why would you even report it? Why, you're a man, just take it. She's a woman. What else are you going to do? But there are a lot of men out here that have been swung on, that have had knives pulled out on them, that have been guns pulled out on them, that would threaten, I'm going to get my brothers after you, my cousin's going to come after you. This is a real thing. And I know as far as women being in abusive relationships, we talked about abuse on that level, but I think we neglect our men so much when it comes to abuse. Because when we think of domestic violence, we think of a woman getting knocked out, we think of Ike and Tina, but we never think of Ike being the female. And there's some women out here that are just as aggressive, that put on them dukes, that think that they're the men in the relationships. 617-282-0062. If this is something you've experienced in your life, that you've seen, I know driving down the street, I've seen women put hands on men, and he's just supposed to walk away.
Yeah. So that's a real problem. So again, it's not reported because they're told, you're not man if you go and report this. But women have killed men, just like men have killed women. So it could turn deadly. So that's really a sign that you're in a bad relationship if this is going on. Then I have 2 more. He or she pushes you and shoves you. So it starts with that pushing and shoving. Then it goes escalate. That's why I don't like that term play fighting or pillow fighting or whatever, because the one wrong move and he's, knock you out the chair, now you're going to the hospital because you've gone through a play fighting. So, I've never tried to play fight with my husband. My husband is 6'2". Why would I fight with him? So that's not good. So I tell women none of that. And the other one is you feel required to participate in unwanted, unsafe, or degrading sexual activity. That's a bad relationship. A lot of men say, hey, if you have sex with me or do it in this way or whatever, I'll go buy you whatever you want. That's another form of prostitution. So that's a bad sign, So those are some things that if you have any of that, that's a sign that you're in a bad relationship, and you need to cut your losses, get out, and stay out. Don't just get out and then go back in a couple of weeks when he says, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it. Because a lot of men or women who are ultimately killed by their boyfriends or girlfriends have gone back about 7 times. And then that's when something goes wrong and somebody winds up dead.
Is that a statistic? Those that are killed by a significant other go back into the relationship 7 times?
7 times. That's a statistic that I found out a few years back, and it really was staggering because, for example, I'll use this one. If a woman got beat down, he brought her some flowers. Oh, I'll never do it again. or the wife or the woman pulled a knife on the man and, cut him a little bit, but not really anything fatal, no major arteries. And he goes back home.
It was just a flesh wound. Damn, you bled a little bit. You can't take it, you man.
Exactly. So that would go on 7 times before somebody actually stabs him or shoots him or whatever the thing is. So domestic violence is not just one way. Men can be violated as well. And as you said, you saw some. I've seen it too. But they don't report it because they think it's not manly. But it's, when the person's dead, they're dead. And it's something they probably could have got out of. But they go back 7 times. So that is a statistic.
Men, do you even feel, Wanda said that she agrees with some of your comments, but she thinks that some of the things that you're saying are unrealistic. I'm trying to get Wanda to expound on that. I want to know what you guys think and how you feel about this conversation. Freaky Friday, Waking Up with Taylor Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. Today we are on the line. I want to call you doctor so bad, but I know you're not a doctor. But we are currently on the line with Miss Debra, and we're talking about situationship versus relationship. We started talking about bad relationships and what that looks like. She named top 10 signs that you're in a bad relationship. This goes for men and women. If he or she tries to keep you away from your friends and family, excessively jealous and possessive, going through your phone, putting a GPS tracker on your car, if they don't support their children on a monthly basis, if he isn't paying child support and she too busy in the club or whatever have you, whatever it may be, you don't want to have a child with that person because you can already see how they treat their children that they have already. If they call you vulgar names or criticize you, humiliate you, if they have a problem with gambling, alcohol, or drugs, these are things that you cannot change about a person. You don't pretend you can change this person and just walk away from it. If they don't have any steady income or verifiable income, or they're too busy hustling on the block, you don't want those problems because next your baby daddy, your baby mama gonna be in jail and you're gonna be raising a child on your own. And that Ms. Debra said you don't need to be with nobody for real, unless y'all been together for a year. You see this going down the path of wedding bells, and if not, what are you in it for? If you feel depressed all the time, if this person is always talking bad about you, talking bad to you, make you feel depressed, you feel bad about yourself, your self-esteem is low, you once upon a time felt sexy, now they making you feel fat, that's a mental health issue. That is mental abuse. If you're afraid for your safety because he or she intimidates you or threatens you or beats on you or pulls knives out on you, you may have seen that in your household. It doesn't mean that it's normal. If he or she is always pushing you and shoving you or causing you pain, injury, or harm, or if you feel like you are required to participate in unwanted sex. Some things you just go wait till they get drunk. I'm just joking. But for real, if you are in a bad relationship, I want you to do like the movie and get out.
Yep, and stay out. Don't go back in there.
1, 2, 3, 7 different times before something fatal happens. I didn't know that was a real statistic.
Yes.
My heart bleeds for those that have lost their lives thinking that all they wanted was a relationship.
Yeah. And they were in a situationship that wasn't healthy for them, and they didn't see the difference. So we really want to educate our audience on what those signs look like, and so now you can avoid those because that's not anywhere close to healthy. I have something else that I go by. I say I'm a diva with standards. So if you don't have any standards, then you're like a wounded animal in the wild, and everybody preys on you. So you have to have some kind of standards before you even enter into a relationship, and you need to establish what those are up front. So in other words, if you go on a date, I have a little button that says the same thing. I'm a diva with standards, and I encourage the participants to wear that on the date because your date is going to say, "What are you wearing that button for?" And it says, "I'm a diva with standards." That just means we're going to set some standards here. You're not going to talk to me crazy. You're not going to disrespect me. So if you have some standards on date 1, then you can determine if he acted a fool or you see some of these signs that we talked about, then you just say in your mind, okay, that's a boo-boo. And you say, I'm not going out with him again because you can't change him, fix him, or cure him. So if we set some standards from date 1, I think we can avoid a lot of the problems, but we don't. Just think, well, he's cute. Now, I'll get to know him even though he just cursed me out, and I'm going to go out with him next Saturday. So you've taught him, okay, this is how you treat me then, because you don't have any standards.
So I would like to bring up the fact that I want to say that Wanda said that she agrees with a lot of things that you're saying, but a lot of things seem unrealistic. And I'm thinking about why they may seem unrealistic. And one of the reasons is because we have never, well, I can't say never. A lot of us don't know, have not experienced, cannot name a long-term relationship. Grandma hasn't been in a relationship. Aunties haven't been in a relationship. Uncles haven't been in a relationship. I can't name anybody that's been married 25, 35 years. For my listeners, if you identify with this. So how can I replicate something or duplicate something that I have never myself seen or never myself experienced? And for those that are listening that may currently be in an unhealthy relationship, may have always been in unhealthy relationships their entire life, how do I start new? What steps do I take to identify what a healthy relationship looks like? What steps do I take to, I'm still the same person. I still attract the same type of people, but I no longer, I'm sick of the relationships that I've been in. I want something new. I want something long lasting. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what steps to take for that. There isn't a clinic, if something mental health, I can just walk into a clinic, get help. But this is something that we don't necessarily can walk into a building, a brick and mortar, and say, I need help with this. Where do you start off getting help to maintain healthy relationships?
Well, that's a great question. And the first thing they can do is get my book. It's called Where Are Your Standards? And what that book contains is real life stories of women from all walks of life, from the ages of 18 to 67. And what I did about a year ago, I told folks, I'm going to give you a platform to tell your stories, because we have suffered in silence because we don't have anything. Like you said, instead of going into a clinic, now it's in written form where they can get their own copy. But I'm going to give you an example of some of the chapter titles. The first one, it says, for example, dating a married man. These are women who've done that. Of course, it didn't turn out well because you're somebody else's husband, but there's probably some of your listeners who may be involved with married men, or dating a man that's a control freak, or dating a man that won't commit to marriage, dating a man that's emotionally unavailable, or an abusive man, or goes on to that. So some of the things that they can do is kind of look at other folks' stories, and then what I do is show them how to see the truth. So there's some roadmaps to correct that. How to see the truth about your situation, because you're not in a relationship, your situation, and then how to raise your standards and regain your standards so you can go forward and to be in a healthy relationship. So step one is really setting some type of standards before you enter into a dating situation. And when you get mistreated, it's really not, it's your own fault if you continue to be in that situation. So the first time he acts crazy and you realize this man is not the right fit, and you continue to go out with him or continue to have children with him, now you've lowered your standards.
But the truth, Miss Debra, is that's the same way my grandma's boyfriend act. That's the same way my mama's boyfriend act. That's the same way I've seen men continuously act. So I don't think it's crazy. I think that's the first step, is identifying what is crazy and what those standards are if I've never had these standards in my household.
Right. Well, let me share with you. When I grew up around alcoholism, I had a lot of drunk uncles, and, my grandmother was like the type of lady that would let anybody who had a problem live with us, because I grew up in an extended family with my grandmother and my parents. And I made the decision at age 18 that I was not going to date a drunk, because I've seen what it looked like. I've seen the drug rages. So you can make a change. Just because I grew up in an alcoholic household doesn't mean I had to go marry a drunk and then my children be exposed to that. So you can stop the vicious cycle if you set a standard. I don't want alcoholism around my children, and my children have relatives that they've never met because they're alcoholics. So there was no reason for me to expose my children to that. So I think when you make a decision, I don't want that in my household. I'm not dating that kind of man. I don't want that because he has to get clean, and I don't really want to hang around for, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years until he gets it together. I don't want that. So it all starts with setting standards. When some of your callers said something is unrealistic, I like them to explain what is unrealistic because you can change anything you want to. You have that power, and I think that's what's been taken away from our ladies over the generations. They think, well, I just have to settle for this because that's what grandma did, that's what mom did. I guess I'll do that. I guess I could have done that too, but I made a decision. I don't want to date any drunk. So therefore, I never married a drunk. And I've been married to be 31 years coming up in August. So there's a lot of people like us who are out here in long-term happy marriages. Both my children are grown now, but they grew up with their father, loving and supporting each other.
So it is possible.
It is possible.
Whatever steps you think need to be taken as far as presenting to your children what a loving relationship looks like, I think that's most important. Above all, what about our daughters? What steps do we need to take for our daughters and for our sons? And, I epically failed. I'm in a effed up relationship. Me and my husband, me and my boo, we've been together for 15, 35 years, 25 years. We've been together. We don't have the healthiest relationship, but it is what it is, Bobby Whitney style. Now, what actions can I take to make sure that the babies make better choices than me? Even though I'm not leaving this relationship. He ain't leaving me, I ain't leaving him, we ain't leaving each other. But we both some messed up individuals, but I want to make sure my children have a better relationship than I do.
Well, the question is, how are they going to do that if this is what you've accepted for yourself? So that Bobby Whitney craziness, that's not a healthy relationship, and everybody knew that. And poor Bobby Christina grew up in that environment. So if you want your children to do better, you first have to do better yourself. So all that craziness, if you want your children to say this is not acceptable, then you're going to have to leave the craziness. So it first starts with you to take the steps and say, I don't want this pattern being repeated, because otherwise they're going to do exactly what you're doing because you've taught them that. We're our children's first and best teacher. So if you can't leave that man for yourself, then leave him for your children. So your children say, see, I did leave that craziness, so now you don't have to go out and get the same thing that I did. Because I hear that all the time. My mom did this, so I'm going to do it. And we all know that's unhealthy. For example, live with an abusive person. So, keep it gender related. So if the wife is beating up on the husband, and so now your daughter thinks it's okay to beat up on her husband, somebody needs to break that cycle so the next generation can have a shot. They can have a clear chance at getting into a healthy relationship, because you can always say, hey, I messed up, but I corrected my mistake. I left after 5 years in that abusive relationship, because even if he's not physically abusive, he could be verbally abusive. He called me all kind of names, made me feel stupid, made me feel like I can't think straight. And I was always second guessing myself. Those things are unhealthy. So I think the first step for our daughters is to first understand that we need to make some changes and say, that Bobby Whitney craziness, I got to stop that. He got to go. So therefore you can have a chance.
If y'all think that's unrealistic, talk to me. Y'all don't want to talk to me today? 617-282-0062. What I do to you?
You know what it is? They know that that's a very hard step. So that's why they don't want to do it. But if they don't do it, their children are going to do exactly what they do. So I implore all the moms out there, and dads too, if you're in a bad relationship, get out for your children's sake if you really want them to do better. Because he said, I'm going to stand inside of Whitney craziness, but I don't want you to do that. Now, that's what's unrealistic. If you're willing to stay in it, but you want them to do differently. So that's the unrealistic piece. And I hope the folks will call in and say, yeah, I'm not going to do it, but I want my daughter to do better. How is she supposed to do that? Because you pattern this for her. She wants to be like her mom. Most little girls want to be just like their mom. So think about how you're going to change that. Or your daughter's going to come home with a man that's just like the one you got, and you just said it was a Bobby Whitney craziness. So what kind of relationship are we setting up? Every generation is going to be in a messed up situation. Nobody's going to be at the 35th anniversary or the 40th anniversary, what have you, because they're not even going to make it past the first 5 years. So hope someone calls in and tell us what's unrealistic, and we can address that. I'd be happy to talk to them about it.
Well, we are coming to the top of the hour. I thank you, Miss Debra Mitchell. I hope you guys learned something today. I understand why they don't want to call Miss Debra. I understand why this is a topic that nobody wants to say. You know, I've been in an abusive relationship. I didn't know I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't know that he or she stalking my phone, stalking my page, stalking my house was a form of being in a bad relationship. I didn't know that this negative talk was being in a bad relationship. I didn't know that these 10 signs of what I thought was love is actually a bad relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand. A lot of us take a lot of the things that you named are what we've accepted as love. Our parents did these things to us, so we think our parents did them. They must love us. So if a man or a woman comes in and does the same thing, that's love.
Exactly. So that's why the unrealistic piece comes in. So you don't think that your daughter's going to do the same thing? They're going to do exactly what you've done. So the only way to change that is to change your own situation. And I know that's difficult because now you got to put them out, figure out how to pay the bills and all that stuff. But if you think about this, if this is going to set the pattern for my daughter to have a healthy relationship or my son to be in a healthy relationship, I'm willing to do that. So they don't have to make the same mistakes I make. Because I have a little slogan that says you can't take that old drama into your new life. If that life was full of drama and you got out of it, you got to make some changes. You got to have some standards. So that's the whole key to this whole conversation today about relationship versus situationship. Where are your standards? And now we can discuss that. And then if the standards are very low, I just want a man in the house, whether he have a job or he cares about me or he got baby mamas, that's a low standard. But a higher standard is I want my own man. I don't want to share that man with the whole community. I don't want my children's siblings to be all across town. I want them to be with my husband, living in the same household. Those are standards we have to set. So that's what it starts with. You know, we can make some changes, and I know why a lot of folks can call in because they're in those situations and they may be a little bit embarrassed to come and talk about it right now. But that's the key to getting this whole thing changed around. So our daughters can have a shot or have look at life and say, hey, my mom is now in a healthy relationship, or my mom is not dating right now, so she's focusing on me. And that's what they're thinking, not knowing that mom has a boyfriend, but she doesn't need to bring them around the children.
I thank you, Miss Debra. I love you. I appreciate you. Nikki Curry, the best publicist on earth. She ain't cheap, but she is amazing. I thank you, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Please tell us, how do we find you, the name of your book, and all of your social medias?
Okay, the name of the book is called Where Are Your Standards? And it can be purchased at Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. You can reach me on my website, which is www.classydebra, CLASSY, and Debra is DEBRA.com. Also, some folks like to email me at debramitchell78@yahoo.com. So that they can email me, go to my website. I'd love for you to check out my book and then give me a shout back on what you thought about it. Get your feedback on the book. And I hope that these women or men that are listening today have some standards and ask themselves, where are my standards? That's a good question. And then we can determine how we're going to live a healthy life going forward.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with Taylor Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. Debra Mitchell, please go ahead and get that book. I'll make sure that I put that information. Nikki, can you put that information on this thread, on this video, so people can go ahead and just click the information as far as the book is concerned, her social media. And Nikki Curry is currently on the Facebook Live, so if you want to go ahead and hit Nikki Curry up, go ahead and do so. I don't like sharing, but I'll share my publicist with you if you want to. Do not forget, tomorrow is one of the biggest days in Boston. Why? Because we are talking about your future. Do you have life insurance? Do you have a living will? What do you want